right, welcome everybody. We're starting here shortly. We're live on all platforms. I'm excited for another live session of Homebuyer Academy. Give me just one moment to go live on Instagram, and looks like we're ready to rock and roll. You know, me, Maurice, and then got Chad rocking with me.
What's going on, good people?
All right, so we're excited today. First and foremost, we're going to jump in with the mindset piece, getting grounded, getting prepared to focus on tonight's lesson. But we got a great lesson for you guys because we're really going to be answering your questions. We took questions that have been submitted to us as well as research top questions that people are concerned and worried about in 2025 concerning the home buying process. So we're going to break that down for you. But if you had a long day like myself, I'm pretty sure Chad had a long day too because he's a grinder. He's great at what he does and he's never stopping. So if you had a day like either one of us, we're gonna take a moment just to get back on track and just focus on the moment here. Um, One thing I like to do is just sit and be, let it be. That's one thing that actually I've learned from Chad was the phrase "let it be." So just let it be in this moment, whatever the day had. And as you can see, my tone is changing. Just let the day be. Let the day be. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're worried about, just let it be. Be willing to let it go. Be willing to release it to God. Be willing to release it from you. Now, if you want to pick it up after the session, go ahead. Give it a God right now. And if you want it back after after we done teaching you guys tonight, then you just go back to God and say, okay, I want that worry and stress back. But for now, give it a God, release it, take a quick breath, just be right here, right now. Let go of the day. Let go of anything that happened right before you joined the live. Because we're here for you guys. You're here right now to learn, to grow, and we're here for you to support you guys. So let's get into it. So we're
Mo,
gonna start.
before
Oh,
before
yeah,
we
go.
jump in, I want to just check in on Instagram because it looks weird from my perspective. So if anyone's on Instagram or my Instagram at the Chad Murray, uh, let me know what it's looking like because it looks like we're cut off, like in the middle of both of our screens where it just says home. I don't know if that's how it comes off or what's
Oh
going
yeah, it
on, but
zooms out. Like it starts off like zoomed in and then it zooms out.
so it's good. It's good to go.
Yeah, like I think if you tap on it, it will like you can zoom it back out.
I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm not seeing it, bro.
Yeah, I'm seeing
So
you live on mine.
okay, check my Insta if you can, and just make sure that
Oh
it's
yeah.
not looking.
Yes, it looks like that, but it's yeah,
Does
we're
mine look
live.
decent? We good to go?
Yeah, we're good. Let me see if I can.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we're good. We're hitting on. Oh, you see? Yeah, that's what I'm getting. You see it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that.
I think it's
Yeah,
good though,
it's not. I mean, if that's
because
what you,
sometimes it adjusts, but the information is most important, right?
because
But
last
shout
week,
out.
last week, somebody was like, we can't see the speakers. So I'm like, I don't even know what to do with that. So and it's not giving me any options to really move around or do nothing. I'm here just in purgatory. So if you know how to fix this on Instagram, you let us know. But we also are on Facebook, we're on YouTube right now.
Hmm.
So let us know if you can hear us, if you can see us, if you can feel us. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, yeah, thanks so much for setting us off, Mo. I'm gonna call it quits on Instagram, and I'm just gonna rock out on the other platforms. Okay?
All right. Cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, so here we are, nice and present. So yeah, ah, what a day, bro. I'm grateful to be here though because today has been a real powerful day.
Hmm.
And it's always a blessing to be here to be able to share. and to help people to grow through their home buying journey. And if you could handle the feedback on your side.
Can you hear it?
But yeah, I can hear a little bit, but it's yeah, if you could tone that down a little bit. Anyway, yeah. So today what we're looking to do is really hone in on, like Mo said, a lot of the specifics of what you all are looking to be able to accomplish, right? Um, Home ownership is a beautiful gift. And personally, it's been something that's really been able to changed my family generationally, like real talk generationally. We've been able to do amazing things, and we're just getting started. So what we're looking to do is really help other people to be able to access the power of home ownership, so that they'll be able to be there and uh, here we go. Yeah, so that they'll be able to start to change their family lives, because there's no reason why you shouldn't have the opportunity and the options to make your life wonderful. So I like the zoom in look still. That was kind of dope.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
that's real good. Yeah, I like that.
yeah. Boom. All right. So yeah, we on the fly here trying to put it all together. But yeah, so today again, like we said, we're gonna focus on your questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to you, Mo, so you can start to talk about some of the things that people have really been concerned about, so that we can really lay out the answers and give the strategies to
Hmm.
make it a reality.
Perfect. Yeah. So we decided to see what are people actually asking about, because I know we teach every week, but and we actually went over some of these answers already.
Hmm.
But this is the purpose of Homebuyer Academy. While we have the Homebuyer Academy Club, the Buyers Club on Facebook, so you can get free game, free information. But not only that, you're going to get probably everything that we've researched here. You're going to find within our resources. There's a lot of simple questions, but it's even though they might be simple and common, they're common, which means a lot of people are worried about these things. A lot of people are asking these questions. And we're going to just kick it off here. So one of the main things that people are wondering is now a good time to buy a home?
That's a that's actually like one of the biggest questions that I'm getting like all the time. As a matter of fact, I spoke to somebody today, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna put my money in the stock market because I heard that the market is about to crash." And I'm like, "Okay, um, listen, now is always the best time to buy. It's always a good time to buy. The question is, how are you buying? We are in a position where the market has shifted to a buyer's market, meaning that you as the buyer has the gold. 2 years ago, it was a strong seller's market, which meant that the seller could put a for sale sign on their yard at 12 noon, and by dinner time, they'd have four offers on their house. It's totally inversed right now, where right now, when a seller puts their property on the market, anybody that comes to knock on their door, they're willing to roll out the red carpet for. So, with that being the reality, it's a good time to buy in the sense that you get to negotiate. You didn't have that luxury in 2023. You didn't have that luxury in 2022. In fact, you're having to pay above asking price to be seriously considered. Now, you can go ahead and submit the offer that you feel comfortable with. And the beauty of it is that maybe they accept it, maybe they don't. So what? Because there are other properties on that same block that are for sale. So, with that being the reality, the recommendation is to take advantage of your chance to go ahead and get the price that you want. With that being said, there's a few key details that you want to be able to look out for. You want to look for seller's concessions. A seller's concession is when the seller contributes to your closing costs. It's always a good time when you're able to buy with as little money out of pocket as possible. Interest rate shouldn't be the biggest determining factor in you buying a property, simply because whether you buy now or you buy later, interest rates fluctuate up and down. So the next series of when the rates come down, you'll be able to take advantage of that and be able to refinance. So if the interest rates are a little bit higher, like they are right now, that's not a reason not to buy. Now, what you do is you get your gains by getting high seller's concessions, meaning that you have the seller contribute to your closing costs and negotiating the price. So if you're able to get the right person on your team, which we talk about in Homebuyer Academy, the course, my book, the Homebuyer Blueprint, and our online course, it shows you those structures exactly and how you could take advantage of the market cycle where it is. So absolutely, it's a great time to buy if you make it one.
So I also say one thing that I'm learning in my journey of teaching and being a homeowner is that we have to understand that being a homeowner is the long game. So just
Right.
like recapping everything that you just said, when you have the mindset of like the home buying is a long game, like yeah, it's always a good time to buy. You can always refinance 2 years from now, or get
Right.
equity. So there's a lot of options there. But I just wanted to throw that little caveat in there. And the next thing, um, did you have anything else on that?
No, I think that's a great perspective. It is the long game. You got to play that long game because what happens over the long term?
Yep, you
You
can
build
build
equity.
equity. You can build, yeah, yeah. So it's always a good time to buy. How much home can I actually afford?
Mm. We're in a very precarious situation because we have two major details or major factors at play at the same time. We have the reality that home values and prices are up, right? But then we also have the reality that incomes have not been tracking at the same rate. So we find a lot of people that are on their tippy toes financially to be able to make their payments, right? Like you ever go to the in the pool and it's like you go as far as you can and you try to put your feet down and you just make it. That's how it is for a lot of people. They just make it in terms of being able to make their payments. And if the wind blows left or right, it throws them off balance. Now, that
That's me.
is a huge, I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying that's me, like swimming. If I can't
Right.
touch the bottom,
Yeah. So that's a huge factor, and that's a huge concern because it makes it so that the process of home ownership feels like it for many people is just outside of reach. And my personal opinion, this is just my personal opinion, right? It is worth taking the reasonable and responsible risk. You're not going to get the mortgage payment that you like and that you love. It's going to stretch you. But as long as it's a stretch that you can prepare for and be able to accept and be able to meet, I say go for it. Because the inverse is to rent and to be in a very similar situation. That's just the reality. People are paying 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 for rent. And what happens with rent is that it goes up every single year. And every single year that your rent goes up, it doesn't mean that you now look for cheaper rent.
yeah,
No. You figure it out. You work it out. You some way, somehow, you able to keep on rising with that increase. The only thing is that when you do that for rent, there's no long-term benefit at all. If you stretch yourself for your mortgage, and again, responsibly stretch yourself. So ideally, we would like for people to be at 28 to 36%
that's what I
of
was about to.
their monthly income going towards their housing expense. What we're finding is that a lot of people are closer to 40%. Ooh, that's rough. It really, really is. It's just that that ratio holds true for rental as well. So when you're comparing, I'm not looking at it in terms of what's ideal. I'm looking at it in comparison to the rental market. And being that the rental market is putting you in that same level of strain, I
Mhm.
do think that it's worth it to put your income at max. I'd say have your mortgage be 40% of what your gross monthly income is. And if you do that, I mean, it's not ideal, right? And again, I say that because a lot of the times people are facing options that they won't really have the option outside of it. It's either you do this or you don't get in the game. And that's so unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. But if that is you, what you want to do is really be honest with yourself and leverage that the seller's concession again. Make sure that you come out of your pocket with as little money as possible at that point, because now there's down payment assistance that you can get. I want you to all, if you're in Florida, get ready because Hometown Heroes is hitting July 1st. And that means 5% going towards your down payment and closing costs. So now, if you're on your tippy toes, at least you can save that 5,000 that you were going to put down and have it as your backup cushion so that now you're in more of a secure place. If you are putting yourself in a position that you're stretching to 40% of your gross monthly income and you've used all of your money on your down payment and closing costs, that's just too risky. So if you're able to get down payment assistance, if you're able to get a seller's concession and you're left with a cushion, I would say to stretch it up to at most 40% with your eye on a refinance within the next year or two to alleviate some of that monthly burden.
Yeah, I want to say because I started smiling because I was going to make a point my dad had taught me even before I became a homeowner when I was just renting. He was like, you shouldn't have more than 1/3 of your expenses go to your home expenses. So he's like, especially most people are W-2 employees, so you're getting two checks a
Right.
month or every other week. So like one check should be your housing and something left over to get you to the next check to cover everything else and live off of. If you're like if you have to if you're exhausting one of your full paychecks just for housing expenses, then um, and that's one of the concerns too. People are like overextending their finances, and so you don't want to get into it if you feel like you have to overextend your finances because on paper it could look like you can afford it, but then on another piece of paper, which called your budget spreadsheet that we talk about at Homebuyer Academy, you might not actually be able to afford it because you mismanage your expenses. So the money might be there, yes, because we really just look at your income, your debt to income ratio, and a lot of these main factors, but we don't factor really in your spending habits. You know how much you spend on groceries and how much you spend on streaming and how much you go out to eat, your lifestyle, right? So we don't factor your lifestyle in too much at that first initiation when you get your pre-approval. So keep that in mind when if like this for this particular question. Keep that in mind for the affordability of your home. Is you really want to, like Chad been saying, keep it in that 28 to 36%, no more than 40, but definitely the lower, the better. And then the next question we got here for the people is, do I need a perfect credit to buy a house?
Well, not at all. The beauty of home ownership is that it doesn't require perfect credit at all. As a matter of fact, the minimum credit score is a 580, and that's not even good credit. That's moderate credit at best. Now, if you are a veteran and you qualify for a VA loan, you technically could buy with a lower credit score than that. Now, I highly recommend that if you're at a 580 credit score, take the time, right? Take the time, take a step back, and do what's required to actually get your finances in a stronger position. Because the credit score is a reflection of what's going on in your finances. It just is, right? So that might mean that your utilization rate is too high, or that means that you might have collections or late payments on your credit. You don't want to get a blessing that's encumbered by burdens. And if your credit is a burden, then the house could hardly be a blessing because the same habits that you just came out of, the likelihood is that you're going right back into it. So really take the time to address those limitations. There's opportunity and there's going to be opportunity when you actually get yourself to a better position. But a great thing about like down payment assistance, for example, is with some of the programs, they start you at a 620 credit score, others at a 640 credit score. But the beauty in that is that it's at least requiring a standard of better credit than the minimum to get going. Now, it doesn't make it out of reach, it just makes it responsible. Like the last thing you want to do is, if you're coming out of an abusive relationship or a bad relationship or a really bad breakup, you don't want to jump into another relationship. You want to take some time
Mm-hmm.
to heal.
Yeah.
You want to take some time to get right with you and to get back to your back to level footing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with this. If you're in the midst of a financial turmoil, the last thing you want to do is add a bigger financial burden, because if you were struggling before, what do you think a $2,000, $3,000 mortgage is going to do? Is going to help you struggle less? Nah. So you want to take your time to really be as responsible as possible. And while you can get a mortgage with the 580 credit score, take a step back, bring those balances down, get that credit score up. Because first and foremost, you get a 580 credit score, you're going to be getting a loan with the highest interest rate and the worst terms that you can qualify for. So instead of actually adding more of a burden to your blessing, get your credit stronger. So now you qualify for down payment assistance. Now you qualify for a better interest rate. Now you qualify for lower mortgage insurance and everything else. So take the time. You don't have to be in the sevens. You don't have to be in the eights. You don't have to be perfect, but you want to be in a responsible place where you feel like you're on a good space with your credit rather than still dealing with the drama of your credit past.
And so that kind of leads into my next question that we have on here is, what is the first step in the home buying process?
Well, that's a great question. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't take this first step because they
Mm-hmm.
put so much pressure on the journey, right? The
Right.
reality is that all that's really required is for you to check where you are. Speak to the first person you want to speak to is the mortgage person, right? So even if you have a real estate professional that you have been working with, whether it's a family member or a friend or somebody that you vetted and you think that this is the one, get to the mortgage side of the game as soon as possible, right? Because if you get the right lender, you get to someone like me, I'm going to take time with you. I'm going to take time with you. We're going to look at your credit. We're going to look at your income. We're going to look at your assets. We're also going to talk about what your goals are and what you can stomach. Because now, once you put all of these puzzle pieces on my table, I get to go ahead and play around and make the things connect. And a lot of the times, you might have some pieces that are turned over, and we don't know exactly what that's going to lead to. But
Right.
that's what I'll be doing. I'll be working through the scenarios and the options to be able to figure out what's available to you. And once the picture becomes more clear,
Mm-hmm.
now you'll be able to go out there and start shopping. Now you'll be able to feel more confident about what you have to do with your credit to get to where you want to be. You'll get a better understanding of what programs and options are available to you. But once you get to the financing side, the whole story starts to come become a lot more clear. So that's the first step. Get with your mortgage professional.
And that's a good step too, because I'll say it's a no until you know. So right
Right,
now you don't
right.
know where you are, so you already know the worst answer possible because you're not a homeowner. So yeah, get that first step in. Um, how much do I need for a down payment?
So the real answer is that a lot of people, you're gonna need money to put down on contract, and a lot of people won't need much money for a down payment at all.
Mm,
And I'll explain why. First and foremost, the lender is gonna be looking for 3.5% on an FHA mortgage. That's with the Federal Housing Authority. That's a government insured loan, right?
mm,
Then for a conventional mortgage, it's going to be a requirement of 3% if you're on a lower income, uh, in terms of your median income of that neighborhood that you're looking to buy. or 5% down. Let's just go with 5% because that's the standard, right? So for a $400,000 house, that would be $20,000. For a $300,000 house, that's going to be $15,000. But the good thing is, you can have down payment assistance that's going to cover a good chunk of that, if not all of it. In addition to that, you also, like I mentioned, the seller's concession, this is the season. What you want to really do is have that seller contribute to your closing costs. So now you're not going to need nearly as much for your down payment, nearly as much for your closing costs.
We got a
Yep.
good question in the chat here. I'm gonna read through very quickly, but if you can tackle that for us, it says, "Do you have, or do they have, or are there programs out there where you can work on your credit and at the same time look for a house?" Because they had a friend of that lived in Virginia, bought a beautiful house, and supposedly it was well, and then you said they built grew up, but supposedly they had her husband had bad credit, so apparently the housing place it was at or it was. Let's see, the mortgage company had to work with her. The mortgage company had to work with her and has been getting the credit. So basically, um,
Can you buy if you don't have good credit? Now,
right,
what you're describing is Homebuyer Academy. That's literally what we do because we understand that the journey of home ownership is one where if your parents didn't buy a house or don't have houses, or if they bought a house and didn't tell you anything about it, you're none the wiser. When we go into the home ownership process for most people, this is the first time you're doing it. So just like the first time you're doing a lot of things, you're not an expert at it and you're not supposed to be. But what we do is we work with people right where they are because our ultimate goal is to empower home ownership in our communities, right?
right,
But at the same time, we're building our clientele. I'm building buyers that could utilize me as their realtor, that could utilize me as their mortgage broker. And it allows us to serve and win. If we serve you and help you to get where you want to be, we get where we want to be, right? Because Napoleon Hill said you could truly, no, not Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar said you can truly get what you want if you help enough people get what they want. We live by that philosophy. So that's why we share what we can share. So with somebody that has poor credit, instead of sending them off to credit repair, where in some cases they might find somebody that could take some things off of their credit and then oops, they come back on, or they could get scammed, or let's be honest, credit repair doesn't address the primary issues that you have to face. The
right,
issues that you have to face aren't going to be addressed with any kind of magic wand or magic words or magic letters. It's going to take you rolling up your sleeves. It's going to take you really being intentional about doing what's required because on the other side of that, we don't just have a better credit score. We have a more financially stable, a more financially healthy client that now is able to become a home buyer and maintain that home because they've changed their habits. They've addressed the burdens of their past and now they're ready to move forward to bigger and better things. So absolutely, our process isn't just for people who are ready made. As a matter of fact, working in our community, we wouldn't be doing our thing for our people if we didn't take time to help them get
mm-hmm.
there, and it takes exactly that.
And I just put it up there really quick to join the 2025 Homebuyers Club. Type it in exactly like that. We can get this information. Connect with us more directly if you're on Facebook, like that. I'm gonna bring this question up here too because it's similar to a popular question.
And hold
It's
on, you could also schedule a call with us. So if you don't
yes,
mind, I'm going to leave my calendar in the link, and just schedule a call, and we'll be able to go through all of the questions that you have, just so that we can point you in the right direction, give you the resources that really could change your life.
yeah. And if you put it in the chat there, chat, I'll go ahead and highlight it. That way, it'll be right there for people to quickly click on. Guys, hop on a call this week because you never know where you're at until you know. So you might as well click schedule out a call, and we can get you squared away from there.
Right.
Um, so I'm gonna ask this twofold question because the first question that we did have, I wanted to ask you about, Chad, was what if I buy a home and lose my job and can't keep up? And then the piggyback question to that was one actually in the chat. I feel like it's a good follow up, which is if one spouse has good credit and the other one is bad, basically what's the best approach for that on the home buying process?
Perfect. So we're going to address both of those. First and foremost, the first question is so powerful, right? Because as I said before, there are a lot of people who are on their tippy toes trying to afford their mortgage payment. And unfortunately, if they don't do that, they don't have the chance. Um, the other option is to move and relocate to a place that has a cheaper homes, so that you don't have to be in so much of a financial burden. But then we're talking about proximity to work, proximity to school for children, and all of those variables. Be as responsible as possible. I would love for you to be at a third of your income. If you we work with people who are at 40%, right? And in some cases even more, because their need for housing is such. Now, let's say that you get this house and you lose your job. The biggest fear for a lot of people is to lose their house. And it's such a scary thing. As a matter of fact, I lost a house to foreclosure. It was an investment property, but it hurt, man. I can't imagine if I lived there without, all of the feelings that would come with it. Since the recession of 2010, 2008, 9, 10, that time frame, there have been a lot of programs that have been in place to help home buyers who are struggling. So if you lose your job and you can't afford your mortgage, the first thing you want to do is reach out to your lender. When you reach out to your lender, they're going to refer you to a housing counseling agency, because what they're going to be looking for is to see that you're actually doing the work to help yourself. Housing counseling agencies have a number of different programs that can help you to navigate these storms, right? So, one of the biggest things that they're going to do for you is they're going to be able to work with you on your behalf and work with the lender to get you a loan modification. What a loan modification is when you're behind on your mortgage, you might have missed two, three, four payments, and now you go to the bank and say, hey, look, I've tried, I can't make this payment. What can I do? The bank has to work out a payment arrangement with you where they can give you a lower interest rate, a lower monthly payment. They could take your 30-year mortgage and turn it into a 40-year mortgage. All of these are designed to get you back on track. So you can also, like during COVID, they were able to do pretty much agreements where you just didn't have to make a payment for a few months. And that amount was added to the back of your mortgage. So, what you want to do if you're having any kind of struggle with your mortgage is reach out to your lender. That's the first thing you want to do. Because once you reach out to the lender, they're going to give you a they're going to give you access to resources that can help you stay in your home. And yes, we can work with people all over, because at least from an educational element, this information is national. It's American details. When it comes down to actually executing, we could help you to find a realtor. We could help you to find a lender if we're not licensed in those places. But more importantly, we want to put you in the hands of the people who are servant leaders, people who care about you in your process. So, absolutely, we might not be able to particularly help you from a standpoint of being the ones to be your lender or to be your real estate agent, but we're going to be happy to give you every piece of information. Yeah, in Pennsylvania, I have tons of I have great people in Pennsylvania that can
Especially
help
up and
you
down the
out.
East Coast.
Yeah, no doubt. Up and down the East Coast, New York, Jersey. Yeah, we're good to go.
And so just double back to the question about the credit. Like, say one has great income but bad credit, the other one may not have income but has excellent credit. Like, how would that affect the process? Can you hear? I feel like I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Um, if I were to ask most people, what's the most important detail of this process? I'd say probably 7 out of 10 people would say credit, but it's not. It's income. Income is the most important part of it because a lender's going to look at the last 2 years of your employment history. We could fix your credit in 30 days in some cases. Credit could go up and down, week to week, if we're honest, right? It could fluctuate quickly. But your job, if you don't have those 2 years of income, nothing we could do. Or inversely, if you've been strong in your employment, there's so much we can do. So if you have a scenario where one spouse has strong income and the other spouse has weak income but good credit, it's going to be the one that has the strong income that we're going to have to nurture and build up. And again, I don't want people to think of bad credit or poor credit as um, an X in this process. It's just a not yet. And it's really important to have patience and to have vision in terms of what you want to do because that's just an opportunity to get the finances on point so that you could take your time and be thoroughly prepared to buy. Now, let me go a little bit deeper because I feel like your question is really trying to ask, would it make more sense if, let's say, this one spouse has good credit and good income? Would it make more sense to not have that spouse actually be able to just do it with one spouse? Yes. If they qualify, yes. The power in working together is that you're able to have more options. Now, let's say you have, let's say, a housewife or a husband that takes care of the children, right? Their value is very strong in the household, but financially it doesn't show up on the score sheet, right? So yes, we could use that one person, and the other person could go on the deed. They're going to go on the ownership of the property, so they have just as much legal standing and legal right to the property as the person who's on the loan. So if you're that party that doesn't have the financial strength, if you've earned your keep, and in Florida, if you're married, homestead laws have it so that both partners own the property, even if just one person is on the loan. All right. Now, a little while back, we used to be able to have one spouse purchase that first property and then the next spouse purchase the other property, right? Unfortunately, they've been a lot more meticulous with the research, and they're going to see that if um okay, and I'm gonna give you the game here. Cool. Let me just sit up here.
Yeah, let
All
me zoom in on you real quick.
right. So let's say the goal is for you guys to expand your empire as big and as quickly as possible, right? Instead of trying to do, let's say, one spouse gets a FHA mortgage and eventually you try to get in 2 years the other spouse to get another FHA mortgage because their name isn't on the loan, they're going to see that this spouse's name is on the title, and that's going to disqualify them from any primary residential loan. These are the steps that you can do to make sure that you're able to expand your empire collectively with the minimal amount of money. Get a second home loan. This is the easiest entry point to getting that second property. And the way that it works is that you'll be required to put down up to 10%, right? 10% or more, should I say? 10%. But when you compare that to investment down payments of 20 and 30% down, 10% is doable, right? Also, for the spouse that's not on the loan, since they're not on the loan, if they're on if they're on the ownership, there's one more step that you'd have to take so that it doesn't show up. But that's something that if you have deeper questions, we could go into that because I don't want to put that. And it's nothing bandulu. It's just it's nuanced, and I don't want to put something so nuanced just out there. But what I would say is, if you do it as a second home loan, now you only have that 10%. And again, if you're negotiating well, you'll be able to get the seller to contribute towards the closing costs so that you're not coming out of pocket with 10% plus 4% for closing costs, right? You'd be able to come up with less. Does that answer the question? I think I got it.
Sorry, I keep putting myself on mute. I think you got it pretty well, but I was eyeing this one question because I really want you to tackle this one here. After foreclosure, what suggestions would you give so they can buy again, and how long should they wait, assuming monies are not an obstacle? That's a great question there.
Well, Priscilla, I think Mo put my
Yeah, I pinned.
calendar.
Yes,
Yeah,
I pinned it there. Here,
yeah.
let me know if you've seen it. It should be pinned.
Yeah, go ahead, schedule some time on my calendar. I love real estate. I just love to talk about it. I love to coach people through their processes. I've helped so many people buy houses. I've helped many people invest in real estate. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it and see what I can do to support you.
And if anything,
Now,
I'll just send it to you. I'll message you after this presentation, after this live.
okay, awesome. So, Jamisha, and I gotta get on your calendar, Miss Grant. Jamisha is a great agent with New York Life, so you got to get your life insurance. Reach out to her. She is so dope and very caring. Yeah,
I have New
very
York Life.
caring. She loves what she does, huh?
I said that's who I'm with. New York Life.
Hey, now I got a policy with them too. I'm looking to get some more insurance. I'm trying to do some creative things, but yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after foreclosure, so in order to get uh, a loan after foreclosure, it's going to take you 3 years, right? In some cases, it could be as little as 2 years. In that time, the good thing about it is that once the bleeding stops, the bleeding stops. Once the foreclosure is gone, the bigger concern that you're going to want to have, or one thing that you're going to want to make sure that to address, is to make sure that there isn't a deficiency judgment. What a deficiency judgment is if you foreclose and the bank doesn't settle the full amount. So, for example, if you owe 300,000, but the house sells for 250,000, that 50,000 deficiency is going to be charged to you as income tax. Now, if it's your homestead, there are laws that will protect you so that you don't have to do that to pay that off. But in some cases, that's something that still could come against you. Now, let's say it's in reverse. You owe 250 and the house sells for 300. You get that difference. You get that difference. That's your money. Okay? So be conscious of that and don't just feel like because you lost it. You in some cases people walk away with money. But what you want to do is now the mortgage is closed. Boom. The bleeding has stopped. What you want to start with is a secured credit card or an authorized user account that someone can add you on. Because at that point, what happens is now that thing that was dragging your score down has released. It's not going to shoot up, but now you could pull it up by establishing new credit. Secured credit cards are great for that. And be mindful when you get a secured credit card, get a secured credit card that graduates. What that means is that once you've actually gone through that 12-month to 18th month period, you get your money back and the line of credit stays open. That's so important because there are a lot of secured credit cards that once you get your money back, it closes and they'll give you another line of credit, but it starts all over. But that means that you'll be losing all of the juice based on the length of credit, which is one of the major factors of credit. It's worth 15% of your credit score. So get a secured credit card that graduates. Also, ask a family member or a friend to be added as an authorized user to their credit card. Let them know that they are in no danger of acquiring any of your negative debt and that you won't have access to the card. You will just be blessed by them adding you as an authorized user because if they had a card that's been open for 10 years with a $10,000 limit and a $1,000 balance, that equals a 7+100 score on that one account. So now once you actually put that in with the rest of your credit stuff, it's going to pull you up. It might not pull you all the way up to the sevens, but that's what's going to help you to start moving forward. Okay.
And
So
then oh,
what you want to do there, what you again, you want to look for secured credit cards that graduate. Here in Florida, Fifth Third Bank does it. Regions Bank does it. Um, some credit unions do it a lot less. It used to be the standard operating procedure. It used to be how it was done, but it's not how it's done anymore. You have to actually seek it out, and it's very important because the last thing you want to do is get a secured credit card. You build all of this positive history. They send you a check and close your account. Nah, you don't want that. But if you reach out to me, I'll have the research done for you, and I'll give you a list of a few more in your area. Okay?
so
Yeah.
with us offering services like Homebuyer Academy, one common question that people are asking is, how do I know I'm not being scammed or misled?
Well, the good thing about today's market is that it's requiring transparency in every phase of the business, right? So before you give up any money, you should be getting disclosures, whether that's from your lender, whether that's from your real estate agent. Everything should be documented so that you see it, right? So, um, how am I being scammed? The biggest scam in this whole space that you got to be careful of is the credit repair part of it. Because the truth of the matter is that you don't know who you're going to end up with. And credit repair companies or credit repair individuals, they go through waves. Sometimes you have people that are solid and that they're consistent, right? Like my guy Tim Sanders, right? Credit repair of Central Florida, credit repair of Florida. He's solid. He has a very solid letter writing campaign that I've seen work better than others that I've experienced. But some people need more drastic work. And you get promises like, yeah, I'll sweep everything off of your credit report. And what happens with those sweeps is that they have to do fraud. And a lot of the times your fraud won't get caught.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does,
Right.
I wouldn't want to be you. So that's the biggest part. The credit part is the biggest part where the scams lie. When you come to mortgages, we have to disclose, we have to disclose, we have to disclose. When it comes to a real estate agent, they're bound by a fiduciary responsibility to disclose what their fee is going to be, and they have to show an interest for your best interest. Now, I'll be honest with you, anybody that's in a commission business, we got to worry about our pockets. Now, I happen to be blessed that for a while, I mean, I wasn't always one of the good guys. I was one of the bad guys in the early 2000s when I was a young boy, right? But I got beat up. The market and God, let me have it, and I realized that this is a ministry, so to speak, where I get to serve. And in my service, I'm abundantly blessed. So I get to do things like this and spend time and work with clients, and they always refer people. People are always coming in. So I'm able to be generous with my time and generous with my information. So look for somebody that's really caring to serve you, and you could tell the difference. You could tell the difference in speaking to them, but always look for disclosure, which is going to be standard dealing with the mortgage broker or a mortgage banker or a real estate professional.
And can you speak more to that? Because part of Homebuyer Academy, we have a segment strictly on finding your perfect team. And I know, like for
Mm-hmm.
example, a real estate agent have to present their NMLS license to let them know that they're certified. Um, how do we, as like a client, for example, like should we ask for those questions? Like, are they licensed? Like, what area? Like, could you speak more to that?
Yeah, you definitely want to ask them if they're licensed. You want to check them out on social media. You want to check them out online. You want to look them up. You want to see if they're doing what they say they do. With me, I'm blessed. I could just send you my book or two,
Yeah.
right, to show you that I have the experience. And then you could look me up all up and down the internet, and this is what you'll get. You'll see me serve. You'll see me working at churches. You'll see me working with youth because this is my ministry, like I said before. Other people, you'll see luxury, life of luxury, and you'll see sales and things like that. And you got to ask yourself, who are you looking for, right? And just make sure that you're working with somebody that shows expertise, not just based on looks, but speak with them. Because I'll be honest with you, they have some people that are really great at what they do, but they might not have time for you. You might need more attention. So interview more than one person. Interview a number of people so that you could get the person that's the right fit for you.
Perfect. And the last question I have here is, are there any kind of hidden cost or hidden fees in the process that we should be aware of? I think we
Well,
spoke about last week, but
yeah. So the fees that you're gonna have to look for are well, working with a good professional. They're gonna show you what the fees are, and they're gonna show you what you could do about them. Right? Like for me, for example, if you're working with me on the real estate side or the loan side, my goal is always to get you money. I'm trying to get you money from the seller. I'm trying to get you money from the state. I'm trying to get you money from the county. I'm trying to get you money from every angle possible. But the costs that you have to be mindful of are the inspection costs. You're going to have to pay for an inspection. So when you're buying your house, that's not something that's top of mind. But when you go into contract, you're going to have to pay for an inspection, which could be anywhere from $300 to $600, depending on the extent of what kind of an inspection you need for your purchase. Right? You're going to need an appraisal. So that's not going to be top of mind, but it's something that you're going to have to prepare for. And an appraisal fee could be anywhere from 450 all the way up to $700, depending on where the property is and how much it is, how many square feet it is. Also, you got to be very careful and thorough about your homeowner's insurance. Now, what happens is if the property that you're buying needs a lot of work, the insurance is going to be higher. If it has an old roof, if it has a bad AC, all of those things can be negotiated to a degree, but the insurance is still going to be there. But if you know you're going to end up having to pay a higher insurance, what I'm doing is I'm going right back to the seller and I'm going to make them cover some costs to make sure that even if you have that burden, that you're going to get a blessing in another way in the form of a credit or the price reduction. That's what we do. And we even get sellers to do the whole repair so it's not going to be on you and you still get your lower homeowners insurance. But thank God, after what do you call it? Bernie Frank, the bills, uh, Dodd Frank. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Dodd Frank bill makes it so that on the mortgage side, that's where we used to have the hidden fees.
mm,
The mortgage standard used to be, yeah, your interest rate is 6.5, and then you'd come in and you'd see a whole different loan. And under the pressure of the closing table, people would still close, even though the numbers were totally different because you're already prepared, right? You have your plans for your house now. You're gonna be using the money from a refinance to do this, that, and the next. And like there wasn't any kind of oversight. Now there's so much oversight, probably a little bit too much regulation, but it works for the consumer. So the laws in place really do protect you as a consumer. Just make sure you ask questions and look for those disclosures so that all of the fees on the mortgage side, you're going to look for what's called the loan estimate.
mm.
That's going to break it down. And if you're a seller, you're going to man, I'm drawing a blank. Uh, if you're a seller, you're gonna look for like the closing disclosure to show you how much you're gonna walk away with. The title bill, that's gonna show you how much you're walking away with. All right, so that's what we got to do in terms of shopping to make sure that you're fully prepared.
Perfect. Let me see if there's any other questions here in the chat really quick. If you guys have any last minute questions, we're gonna wrap up here. I'm all out of questions for today. Did I skip any? Let me make sure.
Well, let's go ahead and save some for next week, right? We got
Yeah, yeah,
these
yeah. Let's save
questions, but
some.
we definitely want to be able to. We really appreciate all of the questions and all of the interaction. And please comment, like, share, and also tell your friends. Tell your friends that there's a platform every Tuesday at 7 o'clock where we give the game on home ownership. We're going to be talking about entry level home ownership, and we're going to be going up to different phases of the process. We speak about how to get involved with investment, real estate with minimal money down. So that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about in the next few weeks as well, while we're touching on your questions around home ownership.
And the best part is, for anyone on here, you have a church home. We want to come to your home, whether it's in person or virtually. So
Yep.
message me or Chad with more information because this year we've already spoke at a couple churches, but we want more. I have a personal goal. We have a personal goal of trying to reach 100 churches just in the Orlando area, and then 100 churches abroad virtually. So you can be one of our Central Florida churches or one of our virtual churches, but we want to reach that goal. We will talk to whomever we need to talk to. Just get us in touch with the right people, and they're free. They're free workshops. We just go more in depth than what we're doing on these live sessions here. But like Chad has been saying all night long, we want to give this information for you because you don't know until you know. And there's so many opportunities, so many resources, so many things that we have available to you all, and we just want to give it because as we've been saying all night too, this is our ministry. This allows us to serve our communities. It allows us to serve you. So if you're watching, please hit that like, that subscribe button. Um, Message us. I had a couple people in the chat. I'm going to message you right after this with that information to book a call with Chad immediately. And Chad, anything else before we close this out? I'm gonna let you close this out.
Yeah, no, man. I'm just blessed to really be here, and I'm grateful that we get an opportunity to serve. So stay connected. Come check us out next week and schedule your call so we can really go in depth and help you to get to where you want to be.
Thank you guys.